God says, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and everyone who humbles himself will be exalted."
God says, "And know that I am with you always, yes, to the end of time." God says, "So I say to you, ask and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find, knock, and the door will be open for you." God says, "But I say to you, love your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you, so that you may be sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust." God says, "Do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Let the day's own trouble be sufficient for the day."
God says, the Christian does not think God will love us because we are good, but that God will make us good because He loves us. God says, "My trust in God flows out of the experience of His loving me day in and day out, whether the day is stormy or fair, whether I'm sick or in good health, whether I'm in a state of grace or disgrace. He comes to me where I live and loves me as I am." God says, God gave us the ability to do, not just try. God says, we are not necessarily doubting that God will do the best for us. We are wondering how painful the best will turn out to be. God says, God has a purpose for your pain, a reason for your struggle, and a reward for your faithfulness. Trust Him and don't give up. God says, God does not give us everything we want, but He does fulfill His promises, leading us along the best and straightest paths to Himself. God says, God who is eternally complete, who directs the stars, who is the master of fates, who elevates man from his lowliness to Himself, who speaks from the cosmos to every single human soul, is the most brilliant manifestation of the goal of perfection. God says, we need to find God, and He cannot be found in noise and restlessness. God is the friend of silence. See how nature, trees, flowers, and grass grows in silence. See the stars, the moon, and the sun, and how they move in silence. We need silence to be able to touch souls. God says, God has given us two hands, one to receive with and the other to give with. God says, do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. God says, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. God says, your whole life is a manifestation of the thoughts that go on in your head.